Let's take a look at some information and charts on EOS for Brave New Coin. As I'm doing my monthly digging on these coins that I do based on a pretty regular schedule, I was perusing the YouTube comments of the last video. This was October 29th. A lot of people really didn't like what I had to say and or bots. I'm not really sure at this point. I don't know if these people are watching the same movie we're watching, but I will try to dig harder. I will try to dig deeper, try to look for more good news about EOS. It's not there. The chain is a ghost town. Let's take a look at some news that they've had over the past few months. Nothing in particular, in my opinion, that's going to move the needle here. Various PR related things. That isn't to say that the people and the places working on this stuff isn't important, isn't great. That's awesome. I'm sure the company's doing fine. We're talking about what's going to move the needle for the token price of EOS. That's what these videos are all about. That's what I'm all about. That's what you should be all about. If you are a trader, if this channel is for you, right? This channel isn't for you if you are hopium copium permabull on every chain you've ever seen or watched or heard, every ICO you've ever participated in, every NFT you've ever touched, right? This channel is not for those people. I hate to break it to you. This stuff will not move the needle. It just won't. You know, not today, not tomorrow, not in 3 years from now. What I like to talk about is Block One specifically. I like to talk about their war chest, their treasure trove in BTC last reported quite some time ago. They're probably due for some annual or quarterly report, but they're holding 9.4 billion in BTC currently. The market cap of EOS at 3.9 billion. Free float supply at 976 million EOS. So their treasure chest is almost double the current market cap. Not only that, but their ICO, the raise was actually bigger than the current market cap. You could say, okay, that doesn't really matter. They are the biggest ICO raise ever. They raised $4 billion. What do they have to show for it? What have they done? What have they brought to the network? I couldn't tell you. We'll take a look at Voice. We'll take a look at Upland. We'll take a look at some other dApps and things. Has any of that mattered? No. Is that their fault? Maybe, maybe not. But I tend to expect more out of something that's raised $4 billion. I think at the end of the day, it was a blank check ICO. They didn't expect the raise that they got. They took it anyway. They didn't cap it. And they kind of don't know what to do with the money, right? I mean, look at what, not only has it appreciated since the ICO, but it's more than doubled since the ICO, and they've spent some of it. Now, do I have a great proposition for what they should do? No. Buybacks, that's one thing. Reduce the token supply, maybe. Continue to inject money into useless projects is probably my last piece of advice on the list, if they were to ask me, and that seems to be what they're doing. Some other things negative about EOS. Again, this is just information. I'm not saying I have a bias one way or the other. Dan Larimer, serial blockchain aficionado, artist extraordinaire, left Block One, and the comments will immediately say he's still working with them, he's still doing stuff for them, he's still working for the community, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. And it's interesting that his LinkedIn still says he works for Block One. This was in January. This is almost a year ago. What has Dan done since then? Well, he's announced a fourth blockchain project, BitShares, Steemit, EOS, and Clarion, decentralized social network. It just begs the question, why couldn't he do this on EOS? He already raised all the money. Is he going to raise more money in another ICO? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Why couldn't he do this on Voice? Why couldn't he release this project internally? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up to me. And you're going to see people standing behind this guy, and I just don't get it. And he's already, this is April, a while ago, but pumping the project, pumping the chain. I don't know if he's going to do an ICO. I assume he has some kind of raise. Hopefully it's just a venture round, doesn't hurt the small fry. But inevitably, this thing's going to have a coin, and it's going to be traded in places. And that's going to happen inevitably. And let's talk about bullish.com for a second, shall we? This is the institutional exchange, at least at the moment. This is November 30th, recently announced that the worst name in the history of exchanges in the history of the world, quote unquote bullish, is now live for institutional customers. So let's take a look, shall we? Bullish.com, this is the website. This is what we pull up, new breed of exchange. Let's stay updated. Oh, and immediately I'm hit with a message here. It says the information is basically not for me. It's illegal for me to look at this information, and it's against the terms of use because I'm in the United States. Also, if you're in Canada, China, or any of these other countries, including the Russian Federation, you are subject to sanction. And so TLDR, this is not a DEX. This is not free web, blah, 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 DAC DAO stuff that they've promised. It just isn't. And it's not like they haven't already had this sort of thing. They had EOS Finex, which closed in March. They said they were passing it on to some other open source community, right? They just said enough's enough, probably because it didn't have any volume, no liquidity, no users. That's my guess. So again, I don't, if you've got evidence that I'm not looking at, that EOS is the next best thing, feel free to comment below because I'm happy to talk about it. But I just feel like we're watching a different movie, and or those people are just all bots. I assume they're bots the way they talk and get upvoted, because that's bot-like activity. But hey, I could be wrong. I could be out of touch. Let's take a look at under the hood block producers. The top 21 basically determined the network consensus, and they can be kicked out of the top 21 based on community voting. It's kind of like a representative democracy. Delegated proof of stake is what they call it. You want to make sure these aren't all located in China. You want to make sure these aren't all exchanges. You want to make sure there are diverse interests and backgrounds, and the network can't get captured by, let's say, Binance or OKEx or the Chinese government, right? This is probably the least decentralized of the proof of stake networks that I look at. A lot of these are in China. A lot of these are exchanges. That's an issue. Definitely. Now, that isn't to say that the votes can't get shuffled around, because they can. Bitfinex here as well. But these nodes are all making a significant amount of EOS per day. I would love to see numbers on how many of these nodes are auto selling all of their EOS. I would love to see that. I'd love to see that, because that would tell you what's actually going on behind the scenes from the consensus delegation, right? Another thing I would love to see, what is the size of an EOS full node? I have no clue. I haven't known for years. I've tried looking for years. No clue. Something else I'd like to know, how many of these nodes are running a full node? I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. I don't think there's a way of knowing. If you know, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to talk about it. Here's Voice, something else that they launched. Not saying it's not a thing or people aren't using it. I just don't hear too much about it personally. I don't use it. Doesn't mean it isn't amazing. I just don't know how connected it is with EOS. I don't see mentions of EOS anywhere here, and they go on to say that they have easy credit card payments and zero gas fees. So yeah, not really sure what's going on there. Back to the staking stuff real quick. Just the reward for a block producer is 20%. For a user, it's less than 1%. So no one is going to get excited about participating in this over, let's say, stablecoins on any other lending and borrowing platform. Just doesn't make sense economically to participate in these sort of things. If we look at the on-chain stats for EOS, transaction counts in the fill here have continued to decline since September 30th. And I don't say that with glee. I could care less if this thing goes up or down. I'm just looking at the numbers here, okay? And that's not bullish for anything to see transaction counts continue to decline. Block counts obviously fine. They had an issue in early 2020, late 2019 with airdrops sort of crushing the network. You can see the block count dropping way down. That's long since passed, but transaction counts approaching effective multi-year and or all-time lows should that trend continue. This is DApp Radar. If we look at EOS chain past 30 days by volume, some of these are DEXs, some of these are betting, gambling stuff, which is fine. I don't see a lot of DeFi related things on here. Here's this, not really sure what this is exactly. I've seen the name a couple times. Interest token leasing platform. Okay. So they have stuff and things. Is it as big as ETH? Well, let's take a look. It's right here. Here's all the information. Most of ETH top 10, top 15 is DeFi or marketplaces or exchanges, volumes in the billions or multi-billions. I'm just looking at the numbers here. That's all there is to it, really. And you can go down all these categories and compare EOS to multiple things, mainly ETH currently. I mean, we can look at Avalanche. Avalanche, similar in some ways, volume-wise, but most of these are DeFi. Usually this matures from gambling, regulatory arbitrage type of stuff to a different type of gambling on token speculation or AMM type stuff. And EOS seems to be stuck perpetually in this this gambling phase. Transactions are cheap and or free, so that's perfect for that, because you couldn't do what you do on EOS on ETH, let's be clear, because of the fees. You could do it elsewhere, but you can't do it on ETH. Something else EOS had or has at one point in time that I hear nobody talking about, nobody cares about it, is Rex. I couldn't even explain it to you if I tried, but it's some sort of borrowing and lending platform. And we can see the user numbers here, loan numbers. I don't know anybody that uses this. I don't know if it works. I assume it works. It's kind of all there is to it. it's a thing and it exists, right? Is it going to necessarily move the needle for EOS token price? It certainly hasn't. Here's Upland. This is their top DApp. I love how they advertise this on the front page with it's the next big thing in tech. Metaverse is so hot right now. Play to earn, so hot right now. It's basically a Decentraland clone on EOS, which is fine. Is it going to move the needle for EOS? I don't personally think so. So I wish I had more to talk about on the fundamentals. I just don't. Here's Google Trends worldwide past 5 years. Currently flat and down from May when price spiked up. Let's move on to technicals. This is the 1 year MA in the green. It's actually the 183. It's the half year MA. And the red is the 5x multiple. The white is the midline. And historically, it's never hit the multiple on the half year MA. It's only hit the midline twice. So going forward, your buy zone is in the green below the half year MA. Sell zone in the midline area, midline plus, currently at 13.5 and declining. And you can't really expect this thing to just turn the corner at the flip of a dime here. It took 3 years to actually reach those highs again. So, you can be bullish all you want on technicals here, but the reality is this thing loves to linger between $2 and $5. That's where the parties happened for the most part over the past few years. If you look at yearly pivots, VPVR, volume RSI, EMAs are leaning more and more bearish. Price has been consolidating for a long time, so those are less useful. It's also in between some key volume levels here. Anything below 260 is like failed experiment level. It's probably not going to get there anytime super soon, but there's a massive support there, massive support at 380. No real chart pattern here per se. You could argue Adam and Eve, inverted, double top type of thing. It certainly doesn't scream bullish to you. It doesn't just say, hey, this looks like a great trading setup here. All those gains from April, May, just Eiffel Towered quickly, straight up, straight down. Never a good sign. Just no volume here on Binance since then either. So whoever was trading it from January to May to June clearly left the building a long time ago. Looking at the cloud, this is the 2-day cloud. It is bearish. It is below the cloud. But however, if I want to get bullish on anything in a vacuum, it has the potential setup to move from 489 to 9. That's a 2x move based on this edge-to-edge type of behavior, which it does have a history of doing. Maybe not to this degree, but it's worth setting an alert for. I would hate trade this because I think it's fundamentally worthless. I think it will always be fundamentally worthless. But the token is the token, the chart is the chart, and this thing has a potential to move from here to here. I don't know when, but it's an if this, then that situation. If this breaks 489, based on technicals, I like it potentially to 9. I'll believe it when I see it. Right now, it just looks like it's ready to cliff dive lower. Against BTC, it's pretty clear, sitting at all-time lows, no bull div, no volume support left, far below MAs. This has a chance to mean revert eventually, but am I going to buy this here over BTC? No. Am I going to buy this here over ETH? Definitely not. This is just cruising all-time lows. You had your death cross in February 2020, and that's really just been it. I don't know where you step in and buy this if you want to. Maybe late cycle. You hope that there's some sort of rotation. Same thing with BTC. Late cycle mean reversion. But that's not bullish. That's not bullish. And nothing on the BTC or USD pairs. Bullish, again, I wish I had better things to say about EOS. I don't wake up in the morning thinking, man, I can't wait to talk smack about all the projects all day long. I'm just talking about what I see. So if you got something I missed, let me know in the comments below. Lastly, let me just mention the ETH-BTC fund and DeFi portfolio. I trade for Technique Capital, Enzyme.finance, a non-custodial portfolio management tool where you can send ETH or USDC or just watch what I'm doing. You can see everything, including AUM performance, allocation. Vaults I'm in here on your Aave, as well as the trades in the trades tab down below. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. Happy trading.